Amazon delivery service partners are hiring full-time delivery drivers to meet growing customer demand. Receive compensation of at least $20 per hour at select stations, plus benefits, and a sign-on bonus of $1,000 from participating DSPs if you apply now. No delivery experience required. Must be 21 years or older. Terms apply. Apply today at amazon.com/driver. That's amazon.com/driver.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Handle with Care, Breast Cancer and Beyond. A safe place where both women and men can come and listen to real people talk about their breast cancer experience and the effects that follow well into survivorship. Hosted by Carrie Madrid, a stage 3 breast cancer survivor and founder of the CARE Project. It's time to Handle with Care.
Hello. You know you've been waiting for this episode so long. What's going on? This is Chris Donovan, the co-host here at Handle with Care, Breast Cancer and Beyond. And the show today, we have a really great guest. Her name is Morgyn Danae. Now, Morgyn's a story of a wounded healer. Now, we're going to be discussing self-love, celebrating unique power and beauty, and how trauma in her early life has shaped her into the wonderful woman she is today. So go to thecareprojectinc.org for all information about the CARE Project and the podcast Handle with Care, and enjoy the conversation.
Hey everyone, so today I'm joined by my guest Morgyn Danae of Morgyn Danae Wellness. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for the technology of Zoom. We are chatting today. So someone referred Morgyn to be a guest on my show, and I get emails from time to time from various individuals or companies that say, hey, or other podcast hosts that say, you should check out this person. They'd probably be a great fit for your show. And, you know, the title of our show being Handle with Care, Breast Cancer and Beyond, everyone assumes it's all about breast cancer, and it's not, which is why we have and beyond in the title. But one of the things that I saw when I looked at your website, I checked out your Instagram, which I just found you have a second Instagram too, 2 separate ones. So I was looking at those and I was like, oh, first of all, you hold a lot of titles. And what got my attention was dance therapist and somatic trauma recovery. So I hear trauma recovery and I instantly think about myself as a breast cancer survivor and my fellow survivors and thrivers who have been through so much. And we talk a lot about PTSD in this group. We talk about self-love. We talk about self-care. We talk about just accepting our new bodies as they are, even if they're in transition, if you're in the middle of reconstruction or whatever. And I think a lot of people just assume once you're done with all your treatment, your active treatment, or and your reconstruction, if you choose to have it, people just think you're fine, right? And a lot of times you're not, and they don't realize. So there's so much that I could talk to you about, but I really want to just get to know you and what your background is, how you ended up doing this work. Give us a summary of all the different types of work you do. And then I'm in particular really wanting to talk about, like I said, the self-love, self-care, and also the mental health aspect, because I think that's really important. And it's relative to everybody, not just cancer survivors.
Absolutely. Very much so. Human beings.
Absolutely. Now you're in Southern California now, but where are you from originally?
I am originally, many years ago, I was born and raised until I was 18 in Kansas City, Missouri. And, which is an amazing city. It's known for jazz and blues and a lively art scene. And, it's a very interesting and beautiful mid-sized Midwestern city.
Yeah.
But my travels began and took me away at 18. Yeah.
Okay.
And then my mother's from Europe as well. So I've got an eclectic background.
Yeah, I love that.
No
So
problem.
dance
Absolutely.
therapist. Now that caught my attention because I always say music is life. always say music
Hmm.
is life. If I have nothing else, I want my music, right?
Yes,
So I'm think music and dance obviously go hand in hand. So tell me
yes,
how all of this came about for you.
absolutely. Yeah, music, dance, rhythm, right? So ancient, so organic to us as human beings. And, you know, I'd say all of these things are really about, you're just, it's kind of a calling.
Mhm.
You're just kind of, you're born into it, and then you open up to it and work with it. And my journey is definitely a journey of the wounded healer, seeking to find, being called to healing work, but also seeking to do my own healing in that process. So it's kind of been, you know, concurrent, right? And, we kind of save our own lives, even though we have others with us that are supporting us and giving us tools and doing major things, but, finding that truth and like finding our own decision and drive to, to heal, to grow. And so I've always loved to dance. I don't, come from a background of, oh, I was a child performer and, you know, uh,
Yeah.
was in a ballet company for 30 years or 10 years.
You
It
didn't
doesn't.
start doing the splits at age 2 or anything like that?
No, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But I was born into a family of, well, I would say, dancers and musicians and artists and teachers and a very interesting family. So I was always around music.
Like an artistic
Yeah, and
family.
artistic intellectual writers, poets, so creative. And music was always there. My dad, he was a creative writing teacher, but he was also a musician, jazz musician, classical. My parents, it was like kind of there was that level of the free spirit. And so dance was just kind of like, you just dance,
Yeah,
you dance
yeah,
from
it's
your
just what you
heart, you
do.
dance with
Mhm.
joy, that's just, and so I'm grateful. I mean, it was in my spirit, but it was in my environment. And so I'm grateful for that. And so, I actually really didn't get into, I wasn't really drawn. I took lessons here and there and did that. But I really wasn't drawn as much to kind of the discipline of classes and such until I was, much older. And still, I would say I still really support people to find that inner dancer, to dance, to just that, that's what we come from. That's the perspective that I come from, is that as human beings, as spirits, that's in our human DNA. It comes from our most ancient selves, is that
Mhm.
draw to dance, to music.
Yeah, and I think, because like I always say, again, music is life. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary. I'm gonna scroll for a minute. Because every time I think about music and dance, I think about this documentary I saw called Alive Inside. Did you ever see that?
Ah,
I think it was on
I'm gonna write it
Netflix a
down.
couple years ago. It's called Alive Inside, and it was a few years ago, many years ago that they filmed it because they were still using iPods for music and Walkman. And they
Okay.
had people who were in like a nursing facility, and they were nonverbal. They were elderly or brain impaired in some way, and
Yes.
they would speak to the family and find out like what was their love of music. Was it classical? Was it salsa? Was it jazz? Was it whatever it was? And they would fill the iPod with that type of music, and as soon as they put the headphones on them, these people went from, I have the chills, these people went from nonverbal to standing and dancing and singing.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I always, it's a running joke with my kids, like fill my iPod, that add that to the list. I always tell them. So I totally get
Exactly.
what you're saying. I think it comes from within. There's something that
Hmm.
moves us about music. And with that, there's
Absolutely.
dance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I do
Exactly. It's
subscribe to
it's
that as
medicine.
well. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
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 And that's kind of like, it's like finding those bridges because, and what you're speaking about, I mean, it's actually music. And I was actually going to start that outreach, just before COVID hit, because I'm newly relocated here, fairly newly relocated, with dementia, it's known, um, to actually bring, people can go back to certain times. The songs will take them back. And
Absolutely.
then with the dance movement, right? You're not being told you have to, in that case, memorize some kind of steps, obviously, or anything. It's just moving from within
Hmm.
and connecting you to a part of yourself. I seen a video clip of a woman who was a dancer, like maybe in the 30s or something, and her family brought music to her as well, and a video of her dancing when she was young,
Oh, I
performing.
saw that. I saw that
Yeah,
she was doing her
yeah,
arms like so
yeah,
beautifully. I
yeah.
saw that.
It's
Yeah,
in our, it's in our, because our body records things for better or for worse, right?
right,
And so it holds our stories, it records our stories, it has wisdom in it. It's an innate intelligence that our bodies have, as well, an innate wisdom. That's part of, well, this is the perspective I come from, that's part of our divinity as well. And, being able to tap into that is a really powerful, powerful thing to be able to do.
right,
And concurrently, it's also a way for us to be able to clear in our stories what has caused us, pain and damage and trauma,
right.
emotionally
Now,
and mentally.
is that what the dance therapy is like, so to speak? I mean, what exactly is dance
Yeah.
therapy?
Well, you know what? There are just going to be different ways that people approach. For me, my background is started with a spiritual background. And then I was trained as a body worker. I was trained, and I was called to start doing guided meditation and breath work, and I was trained in that back in the 90s. You know,
Okay.
so those are some of the tools I started with. I was called to belly dance first in the 90s as a
Mhm.
healing art. And so, people will have kind of different ways that they're called, but mine is a lot of connecting into the center, owning our bodies, connecting with the earth, connecting with nature. And I won't say there's going to be one set way every session will go, every class will go, because especially if I'm working with somebody one-on-one,
Mhm.
I'm going to listen. I'm going to bring my background in. This is where all the names behind,
Yeah.
because I'm almost 53. I'm going to be 53 in April, and so uh, I've had a lot of years of life to accumulate
I just
these
turned
experiences.
50 on the 5th of this
Yay!
month. Yeah. It's a
Cool.
lot of life experience, boy, a lot.
It is a lot of good stories, right? That we learn from and we have to share. And so, so I come with a background of training as a body worker, licensed massage therapist, as a
Mhm.
corrective exercise and core specialist. So I work with the body from those different places of intelligence and connecting into the muscles, connecting into the tissues. I work with scar tissue. I work with internal organs. I work with, the energy system. There's a lot of different,
Mhm.
layers that are
That's
going
why I said there's
to
so
the
much that you
chakras.
do.
That's the thing, they integrate,
Right.
and
Right.
so, working with the chakras, the energy centers, all of that. I mean, but that's a part of the wholeness of who we are, you know. So with the breath, working with breath work, working with energy work, there are ways to connect into the body, to ground and center, which is super important in dealing with, any form of trauma, whether it's physical from surgery,
Mhm.
from illness, from any kind of abuse, all these things that we can find bridges,
Yeah.
you know, even though people have very specific concerns as well in stories, in communities that are important,
Right.
we can find our bridge. So with the dance, I integrate these different things, working with, guided visualization and conscious breath. And so if somebody's dealing with some other kinds of physical issues, we can potentially, I can work with them,
I was going
to
to say it
help
must
them
be
to free up the dance movement.
right, right. So it must be really individualized. I mean,
It can be, yeah. When I'm working one-on-one with somebody, it is,
mhm.
and then there are basic, kind of formats that I work with, say, a group.
Yeah.
And then it may depend on the population because, people get very into niching with certain like age groups or,
Yeah.
in their whole business type of thing. My niche isn't around age as much as around these different issues and modalities.
Got
And
it.
so, say if I'm working with senior women, even 6 year older,
Mhm.
there may be certain concerns. Like, and then if I'm working with people who are dealing with dementia and such, so it can be kind of tailored,
Right.
so to speak, to different groups.
Right.
Or we just work with the universals of connecting into the body, grounding, finding your movement,
Mhm.
listening to the music, connecting to that spirit of music, and expressing yourself. There may be exercises where you're working with connecting into more peaceful states, working with the nervous system,
Hmm.
be able
You know,
to.
I was reading your bio on your website, and I came across the page where it had a picture of you as a little girl and a more current picture. And you said that something about standing in the mirror one day and you were able to see that little girl reflection. So I can relate to that. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay, absolutely. Well, that was just a really beautiful moment. It was really neat to be able to catch that and share that. Thank you for looking at that and reflecting it back too. So, that's the inner child. That's our inner child, and that is the inner child is so much about actually our creative expression. Our joy, our enthusiasm, and it's a really important component to self care as well. It's like kind of like we have these different aspects. Jung was a psychologist that works a lot with the kind of gestalt and different aspects of ourselves because we're multifaceted
Hmm.
beings. And so, when we are kind of connecting from a place of, getting to know these different parts of ourselves and making peace with them, doing inner child work in a way that's again very much about self loving the self, listening to these different aspects of ourselves from a grounded adult place, being centered in our adult self first, you know,
Hmm.
having that connection to our own inner mother, inner father, the caretaker within us, the caregiver, who's going to make sure that we feel safe and protected and nurtured. So
Hmm.
that's a really important piece of
I
being
think
able to care for ourselves.
that's really important what you just said. I mean, you hear that, and I know someone's probably rolling their eyes going, "Oh, the inner child," right? But you
Yeah,
know what? Until you go there, you won't know. But I think it is really
yeah,
important because there's a couple years in my childhood that I don't remember anything. And I know
yeah.
I have some issues there, right? And so I'll leave that at that for now. But
Hmm.
it wasn't
Sure.
until I got to a place as an adult and having been through the trauma of my breast cancer and all of my
Yes.
surgeries and a very near death experience that I really, I guess, like shed that. I don't want to say past life. It's not that, my body, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I realized that for the first year after my surgery that I never really looked in the mirror, and I didn't do it subconsciously. I really was sort of very strong through my whole thing. I didn't like grieve my
Sure.
breasts or losing hair or anything like that. I just like trudged through, like, here I go, watch me live, right? But then
Right.
one day, and this I think is why that photo resonated with me. One day I got out of the shower and I was drying off, and I just stood still for a minute in front of the mirror, and I really, for the first time, looked in the mirror and I went, "Whoa, like you've been through a lot of shit," you know?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was about the physical in that moment, but it also
Hmm.
sparked
Hmm.
a lot of my thinking back to just a lot of childhood experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. And so
Hmm.
I think it's really important what you just said about needing to be grounded as an adult before you really do that work
Yeah.
so that you can make
Yeah.
the child feel protected and safe to explore
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, exactly. You summed it up really perfectly because, and I think that I understand why in certain ways too, sometimes people can feel that way about it. Oh, inner child, because sometimes people can be not grounded about it. It can get very self-indulgent, very, kind of just kind of going off on a tangent and not the adult actually isn't present.
Yeah,
It just becomes kind of like this kind of indulgent, I'm wounded, my inner child's wounded, take care of me, I'm taking care of, you know what I mean? It's
yes.
like really,
Victim-ish.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, you having that moment of like just really, you tell me, but what I was hearing was like really kind of profound compassion for yourself. Like just,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
that's powerful,
Yeah, and I think too, like for me, starting my nonprofit, the Care Project, has I've been mentoring other women, and I have a connection with the Male Breast Cancer Coalition, which is based out of Kansas City, and I've
Oh, okay.
mentored a lot of females that really are grieving their old bodies and their femininity because they tie their breasts and their hair into their femininity, and I didn't have that. That wasn't
Mhm.
my experience. My experience
Mhm.
was more me grieving my strength and my abilities, because now I have tremendous scar tissue and tremendous restrictions on my mobility from having 28 lymph nodes removed from my arm and so on and so forth, right? We all have our own thing. But for me, I spent
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
lot of time trying to encourage these, some of them really become close friends to me, about really just honoring where they're at and loving themselves. And so I was doing all that work for them, which I felt was therapeutic for me. But in that moment, I had to stop and look at myself and go, all right, well, take a bite of your own apple, like take your own advice, lady. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
let
Well,
me
that's
deal with
awesome.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, did
yeah.
you,
That's awesome.
I read that you grew up in a very artistic home, your bio said, but that there was some trauma and abuse in your life as a child, right? So
Yes.
did that
Yes.
feed into, do you think that was part of your journey to get to this calling of helping others in this way?
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, so my family was been very interested. I mean, we're in a good place these days, definitely a eccentric bunch.
Yeah.
There was
That's
always a
always
lot of
fun.
yeah, yeah, definitely. There was always a lot of, love and affection on one level, so it was confusing because there was also alcoholism,
Mhm,
there was sexual abuse,
mhm.
there was depression, there was, PTSD, there was mental
So there was
issues,
mental illness there, or issues. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and so there were legacies um, to heal, and I mean, I will say some of that stuff has gone back many generations. So I've also had to do and continue to do ancestral clearing and DNA clearing, epigenetics, all of those different levels, because we want to help the future generations as
Mhm.
well as our clearing our own self. I know that's a whole other
Yeah, no,
subject,
but we can come
but
back on that for another episode. But
yeah,
yeah, I
okay,
definitely
awesome.
wanna
Yeah,
talk
because it's
about
so
that too.
powerful.
It is
Yeah,
powerful.
that's also part of our, makeup is being
Yeah.
as human beings and as divine beings. I mean, that's ancient and also
Yeah.
modern. So yes, so there were, multiple different things going on. And yeah, and so of course that quest to heal the self, again, that wounded healer. And I would say there was that element in my family. There's a lot of healing gifts,
Mhm.
and that just that seeking to heal the self. Um, so for sure, it definitely it's like all of my different studies, over the years that will continue as well, and practice with others. It's all part of it, and what I've experienced myself is
Mhm.
part of my training as well. What I have struggled with, what I have also undergone and overcome, and what I still have yet to. I had a past history of mental illness with severe depression,
Mhm.
psychosis, dissociation, um, weight gain from medication, different issues around that, and I can say I have come to the other side of that.
That's
Um,
awesome.
with it not being those episodes, those they are done.
Mhm.
There are no medications in that way. But it's not. It's just to say that, and so in saying that, it's just to say, we all have our own journeys, and we will continue to learn from them. And I love to share and what I've
Yeah.
learned and seen and all of that. Yeah, that's how we bridge to each other. That's the
Yeah.
mentor. That's the peer element.
Right. I think too, and that was the other thing that, I've had some other people refer to me, and when I do some research and I look at it, there's no mention of a personal experience of what they're now teaching. And it doesn't mean that they're not knowledgeable, but I think the way that I'm wired and the way that I look at my own life and all of its challenges and traumas, and including my diagnosis, I always say, I think it, in particular, my diagnosis was just a responsibility given to me
Mm-hmm.
to kind of show others how they too can do it. Not necessarily step by step what I do, how I deal, but just to be that empathetic and compassionate person that can care for others and show them hopefully different variations on how they can care for themselves, which is why I saw the self-care and I was like, oh, I got to talk to her because you've been
Right.
there, done that. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
relative. I think
Yes,
like
it
the
is.
mental illness, the mental issues, emotional issues, trauma issues, they're all
Mhm.
relative in the same way that we have different breast cancer patients come through our office and they need support, and we'll be in a group talking, and there's anyone from diagnosed from stage 0 or 1 to metastatic stage 4 terminal.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
sometimes the stage 1 person will say, well, actually, oftentimes they'll say, I feel like I really don't have anything to offer. Like I didn't go through anything. And they almost are
Oh.
apologetic that they didn't undergo
Mm.
all the treatments that say I did because I was stage 3. But
Right.
we always have to bring them back and say, hey, look, it's all relative. We all
Yeah.
heard the same words. You have breast cancer, which that
Yes.
in and of itself can elicit a trauma response, let alone
Absolutely.
any treatments, surgeries, and responses to those complications, allergic reactions to chemo, all of that stuff. So I think, that's what really drew me to want to talk to you more is because you have endured traumas and worked through them and found a way to cope and help others. And you're not claiming that you'll never have to continue to do the work, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the work is the gift too, because we just keep uncovering more of ourselves and uncovering more of whatever we're going to uncover. That's more
Right.
medicine, more, sometimes just more stuff, that's going to take you deeper into places that you're going to learn to support others with as well. I mean, it's a whole
And
journey.
sometimes I think that people get caught up in thinking that that means that they have to start an organization or start a business or become a teacher or whatever. And it's not necessarily that, in my opinion. It could just be the way you live your life. You live your life, and
Absolutely.
people look at you and go, wow, you're going through this, that, and the other, or you've been through this, that, and the other, and you're still this way. And I hate to use the term positive because we're not always positive. I was Miss Pants this morning. I was like, I should cancel and talk to her another day. And I was like, nope, nope, nope. We're going to do it today.
Feelings, feelings.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
having feelings. But
yeah,
yeah, so I think that that's important to note too, that it doesn't mean that you have to go out and start something or teach a class or become some guru. You just have to be the
no,
best, healthiest version of yourself,
yes,
in order, and then
yes,
live that life. And if you're around other people, they feel that energy.
yes,
They feel that energy. They feel
absolutely.
that vibe. They want some of what you have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's like I'm going to use the term like embodiment, embodying, because we are bodies, we are spirits in bodies, and that's what we're doing as human beings here with
Yeah,
each other right now.
yeah.
And so, that's the most, I think that's one of the most powerful things we can do is to embody, ourselves, embody, our healing,
Mhm.
and just be, in the way that we be, in the way that we are, because you may be doing all of these things, which is awesome, but people, you know, can feel the difference if you're like you're owning it, you're living it, you're embodying it,
Mhm.
that love too,
Mhm.
that what we've worked for, and
Mhm.
it's uncovering, because we're all love. That's what we're doing, is uncovering, who we are. But
Right.
like, it doesn't, like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, what your job, I mean, just that in whatever you do and whoever you are, that you are being you. That's a
Yeah,
beautiful.
authentically you.
I mean,
Or
it's thrilling to be around people. Like, to me, it's like, I mean, I've had my whole day before just like uplifted in my heart, saying, after meeting somebody who was a clerk at a Walgreens store, a cashier,
yeah,
who's just loving and putting their light out, or, an old woman who was just this amazing, beautiful person.
yeah,
It just any
yeah,
human
yeah,
being themselves.
yeah. There's nothing more beautiful than that. I've said it many times on other episodes, and I'll say it again. You know, um, I was diagnosed at age just after turning 41, like days after turning 41. I was in
Yeah.
really great shape of my life. I was in what I thought the best shape of my life, so to speak, in terms of strength. And according to society's beauty standards, I was more aesthetically pleasing then than I am now, 9 years later almost. But I feel because of what I've endured and because I feel like I was sort of taken down to the ground, to ashes, if you will, that I'm a much more beautiful soul now than I was back then. And yet I'm disfigured by some, definition. I'm losing vision in both eyes as a result of side effects from chemo. And, it's just, I'm a hot mess physically, but spiritually, I feel effing great. I do. And I think it's
Amazing.
because I went through all that and it really knocks you down to your core and it causes you to just fall in love with yourself and really seek who you are authentically. And so I feel like I sincerely hope that everybody I know gets to that point without having to endure a trauma, right? But can
Right, right.
really find a path that works for them, that gets them so comfortable in their own skin that nothing else matters.
That is a great way to put it. Comfortable in their own
That's
skin.
the only way I can say. Like I posted something on social media the other day because I was having a conversation with someone and I just said, I feel like, how did I word it? Something like being, oh hell, I don't want to quote myself wrong, but basically what I said was something like, like being authentic and comfortable is the new beautiful. Confident
Mhm.
and comfortable is like the new beautiful for me.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm. Yes.
confident in my overweight self and, scarred up body. I'm more confident now than I
Mhm.
was back
Mhm.
then. And
Yeah.
so I hope that everybody
Beautiful.
can get to that place eventually. I definitely want to have you back so we can delve deeper into some of these issues. But as we have to wrap, I want you to tell everybody where you are, how they can reach you, and let's talk about the services that you provide.
All right. Well, I am located in Zoom. No,
Yeah,
I live
we
inside of
are
a
all
computer like
located in
everybody
Zoom
else.
right now.
That's my home, the little
Yeah,
corner. No, well, so physically, I live in South Orange County, California. I'm in Laguna Hills, just 15 minutes inland from Laguna Beach. That's kind of the
nice.
landmark. Yeah. And I, like I said, I'm fairly new. I'm new in I've just completed my first year here in California. And so basically you can reach me. Well, should I give my contact information or
Give it
talk
all.
about my hand? Okay. My website is morgyndanae.com, morgyndanae.com. Not a normal name, I know.
Yeah, it is a normal
And
name.
I'm on Instagram at Morgyn Danae Wellness. And then I have another page, but I'm just getting kind of back into it, so
Got it.
it hasn't been really active for a while. Um, so maybe I'll tell that next time.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and
Your
you can
website
reach me
is
at,
great, by the way. It has
oh,
like
thank you.
it's very well organized and you can kind of tab through and find all the services. So I definitely encourage
I
everybody.
designed it. I'm
Good.
figuring out SEO. I'm working with somebody to figure out this SEO stuff. Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
love that feedback. That helps me, keeps me going.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So the
yeah, because
classes
I
you offer
redesigned it.
are what? What type of classes do you offer?
So basically, right now, I'm actually figuring some stuff out. To tell you
Okay.
the truth, presently what I'm offering are one-on-one sessions. And you can come in just for a consultation. I also offer a 20-minute free consultation.
Nice.
Virtual conversation just to connect. I also do a 8-week programs as if you just want to drop in for one program, we do it. It starts with a separate 90-minute assessment. So we're going through your history as well, on all levels, as well as a physical assessment.
Perfect.
um, yeah, and then so the one-to-one is where kind of what's happening right now. I'm figuring out some tech stuff to offer some more classes again.
That's good.
So I can't say that I have any classes going yet.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm going to actually have that figured out by this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. Well, maybe by the
Yeah.
time this actually airs, you'll be up and running or closer to it. But if nothing
Yeah.
else, to have a consultation and to explore the work that you do. There were some videos too
Yeah.
on the website. I
Yeah.
think breath work is one of the things that I really want to. Maybe I could talk to you about doing a Zoom with our Survivor Social Club.
I'd
Just
love to. Yeah.
talking about breath work because there's a
Yeah.
lot of us that it's very difficult for me to take a deep breath. and I kind of laugh about it now because I always say back in the 80s, there was a comedian who did a routine and she talked about aerobics and she said that she was making fun of the instructor and they would say, and don't forget to breathe. And she was like,
Yeah.
who
What does that mean?
And I'm like, me.
Yeah, right. How do you even do that?
Right?
No, totally. Yeah.
It's true.
And an
It's
80s
true.
aerobics instructor is the perfect example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. And so I think your website is great. Again, it's morgandanae.com. We will put it in the description of the podcast show as well. And then your Instagram. Are you on Facebook also or just Instagram right now?
I am. It's kind of like almost like a stationary Facebook page. It's
okay.
Just, I mean, like a website type thing.
So Instagram is best for you.
Yeah. I'd say that's really, what's happening presently. I've kind of been going through a huge transition with this relocation and rebranding and kind of bringing things full circle of what's happening here after 25 years of all these different kind of pieces. That's why you hear all these things.
Yeah, you have so much experience. I mean, so much life experience and so many different things that you do and can offer. So I think that complimentary, talk is great. Just that, because that allows them to get to know you. And then also for you to get to know what their needs might be to see how you could best serve them. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the idea. Because I can even bridge with, different issues around scar tissue and, all these, the different, I know, hopefully I look forward to us talking more because some of the big issues you spoke about are things that I work with.
I saw that.
Very cool. Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me. I hate that I have to go, but we will talk again soon and we will figure out what we want to hone in next. Maybe we'll do a series.
Excellent.
Okay,
that'd be fantastic. I really enjoyed talking with you as well. And I've been listening to your podcast and it's just really great. Really
You're
great.
Like, that lady's a little crazy.
It's awesome. I love it. Being yourself. It's beautiful.
That's me.
Very
I just listen. Look at me. I'm in sweats and a hoodie today.
Hey,
I didn't get cute for you because I'm on vacation all this week, and I'm just.
You look awesome. Actually, you look awesome.
I'm just being a bum, but thank you. I'm being a bum, and I'm enjoying being a bum.
Defining your own sense of what beauty is. That's the thing. Like beauty standards. Like why do we need to hurt ourselves with things that aren't of us? Be yourself,
right. That's right. Yeah. I agree. Well, thank you so much. I will talk to you again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Carrie.
All right, take care.
Thank you for listening to Handle with Care, Breast Cancer and Beyond. Please let us know what you think of the show by leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to share it with a friend. For more information or to connect with Carrie, go to thecareprojectinc.org.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Can you have zero interest in something and still really want it? Your wallet would say yes. And with Simply Zero from South Carolina Federal Credit Union, you can transfer credit card balances and get 0% intro APR for 12 months. That's right. No interest all year. So you pay less and keep more. To learn more, visit scfederal.org/simplyzero. That's scfederal.org/simplyzero. Variable APR ranges from 11.74% to 17.99% thereafter. Limited time offer restrictions apply.